Hey, everybody. It is happy freaking Friday. How are you, Amber?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Once again, we're live, large and in charge here across all platforms, wanting to bring amazing information to you. Today, we have a really special experience that we're having. We're having a special guest. This is our first time doing this, Amber. Are you nervous?
I'm actually excited, especially about what we're talking about, because it's something that everybody asks about, right? And these people
Absolutely.
who we're bringing on, people think it's like the evil person out there that like frowns all the time. So we're going to show he's really a nice guy.
We're bringing the guy on in the shadows that nobody knows and nobody gets to see. Today we're actually going to be having a really special guest come on to talk about appraisals. So whether you are thinking about buying a house now or you've purchased a home in the past, you need to understand that appraisals are a very big part of the process, and they will kill a deal or make a deal. And so we've got the non-deal killer, the guy who's actually here to show us exactly how it's done and share all the great information with us. In the meantime, I want to make sure I introduce us. I am Lacey McCarty, your Las Vegas bestie, your Las Vegas expert, and of course, your Las Vegas realtor. This is Amber Coleman, one of the top 200 lenders in the nation, working with Guild Mortgage. She's incredible. She's the best, and she's my bestie. So we're here to do what we do every single week. Happy Friday, Amber.
Happy Friday to you too.
Thanks. All right. So before we move forward, I want to just let you guys know, if you are thinking about moving to Vegas, I say it every time, we want to know about it today. I don't care if it's you're moving now, 10 years from now, if you're not even sure if you want to come, I want to be your best friend. I want to be the person that helps guide you. So click the link in the description, or there's a beautiful phone number scrolling across the bottom of the screen. You can text me anytime and we'll get back to you and set up a call, see if we can learn what the heck's going on so that we can be a part of your journey to Vegas. Really excited that you're here. Today, we also have a bunch of realtors that are going to be joining us to watch this, because the guy that we're bringing on is like the guy with the mostest, the appraisal guy that knows everything that there is to know about what we're doing when it comes to appraisals here in Vegas. And so they want to learn from him too. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Just so you know, the comment box is for you. These live streams are for you only. So if you've got a question about where I get my hair done, why would you not move to Vegas, about houses, about where to go to eat dinner tonight, drop it like it's hot in the comment box below. We would love to answer your questions. And if you have a question specifically for our guests, drop it like it's hot. We'll get to it right at the end. What do you think, Amber? You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Today we're going to introduce to you guys. We're just gonna put him on the stage
Like
and just let him take over. He's famous, the famous Brent Jones. Hello, Brent. Welcome.
Hello.
How do you like that
ladies.
intro? How do you like that intro, Brent? Do a little saucy.
This camera thing's not that flattering. So
I think you look
that's
handsome,
all I'm
sir.
concerned about.
Handsome devil. The ladies are. My phone is blowing up. The ladies are calling
already. Yeah. Pity the old guy. There you go.
No. We love you, Brent.
That's the old guy, Brent. Come on.
Dashingly handsome. Now stop flirting. We got to get to work. Okay. So Here's the deal, Brent. Today we're super excited. Just want to say thank you so much for joining us. I know you're the chief appraiser, and you have created a new company and a new I guess tool for us to use as realtors to help us do our jobs better, so that we don't have issues when it comes to doing our deals, because you're not the deal killer, you're the deal maker, hopefully.
Well, I originally put under my title Deal Crusher, not the Deal Crusher.
He's not the deal crusher.
I thought I'd be more professional in case there are actual people out there who may see me at their property. They know that I can bring the professional stuff too. So
I love it. Well, Brent, I know that you operate sort of in the shadows when it comes to some of these deals. You don't get the opportunity most of the time to meet the buyers or the sellers. I know sometimes it happens, but really you're supposed to be an unbiased third party that comes in and really just looks at the numbers and says, hey, bank, it's okay to lend this money to this buyer. It's absolutely worth what you're, or more, whatever, up or down, what you're offering to pay. So tell us, how long have you been in the business? Let's get the credentials out on the table.
My peers would argue too long. I've been at it. This is my 33rd year.
Wow.
I started as an intern in 1990. I actually went
You must have been like 12.
For an appraiser. I worked for a guy for free. I needed a job, and so I did my internship in 93. I became licensed. So yeah, I've been walking the streets here for 33 years. It's been quite a ride.
What's your favorite corner to work, Brent? Looks like you've been working the streets for a while now. Huh? Hey, it's Vegas. Vegas.
The ones where I won't get bit by a pit bull. Those are those. I've had that. I've had one
Oh
attack in
no.
33 years. So
Oh no.
if anybody's there and they got an appraiser coming, please manage the dogs.
Manage the dogs. Poor Brent. It's a workers comp on that one, I'm sure. Good Lord. Well,
We
Brent,
have had some horror stories about the dogs before. We could probably have a whole segment on that. Right?
have you ever fallen into a pool is the real question I want to know.
No pool, no pool falls. Some trip and falls down, man down. But luckily they were vacant, and I
Good. I'm
didn't
glad.
embarrass myself. But
Well,
the
I
last
don't
time
think
I
you
hit a
could.
chandelier in a vacant house, I said, I'm not seeing any more houses anymore. Dangerous out here.
He says, I'm out of it. 33 years and I'm done.
Yeah.
Super grateful that you're bringing your expertise here today. We really do love calling you. Brent, you're like on my speed dial. I'll call you anytime I have a listing and I don't know how to value it or I'm running into problems with the comps. And comps play a huge role, as you guys know, in the process of buying a house, whether it be new homes or resale. So we've got a bunch of questions. If you're cool, we're just going to jump right into it. Is that all right?
Fire away.
All right. So let's start with the basics. So anybody who's watching, who's thinking about buying a home or who is a realtor, tell us what is the basic typical criteria that you used to, when you're appraising a home, just the basics.
So that's really broken down into a couple components. First thing is when we inspect the property, we're looking for interior finishes, exterior finishes, renovations, what's been done to the property. Has it been, if it's been remodeled, has it been extensively remodeled? Has it been taken down to the studs? Have they replaced windows and doors? Have they replaced flooring? Have they freshly painted inside and outside? So once we do that inspection, then the real work begins. We go back and we say, all right, this house has this. It's a 3,000 square foot house. What is going to represent a viable alternative to that 3,000 square foot house based on the improvements that we saw, whether it's a pool, solar, there's a guest house, there's a basement, all four. Then we start parsing that out in our searches, and how we search will be really determined by what the property condition is, because we want to compare like to like. We don't want to make an adjustment for property. My goal is to find that model match that just closed yesterday. So that's it, and it's really the same process you do, Lacey, as an agent. We just have a different set of eyes on it. We have underwriters, Fannie Mae, Freddie, FHA, VA. You have sellers who have expectations about what their house is worth, and then you have buyers who are nervous about making an offer, or whether or not their offer is going to get accepted, or whether or not they're going to have to come out of pocket. So we really do the same thing. We look at the same set of beans, if you would, and determine it. But hopefully by the time we get done here, I can shed a little light on the specifics of that.
I love that. So typically, just so you guys know, those of you who are watching, and tell me if I'm wrong, Brent, because I hope I've not been doing it wrong, is we look a 1 mile radius typically. And sometimes, it depends on if there's nothing there, then we go, but it's usually 6 months back, 1 mile radius. And we try to find homes that are a little bit bigger and a little bit smaller, within 200 to 250 square feet. Is that about right?
So, and what's interesting is what our software does is emulates those search parameters. So the first thing I do is I always look in the subdivision. I want to see everything that's sold, everything that's listed. That way I can check absorption, because typically what happens is somebody in the neighborhood will know what the highest price home in the neighborhood.
They always know.
So
yeah.
I like that information, and it gives me an idea of what's going on in the entire segment. Once I go from there, then I use a 10% search square footage wise. I go out a mile. Now there's no rule. There's no hard and fast rule. I can go out 5 miles, 10 miles. My job is to find 3 sold comparables, and a listing or 2, depending on the lender. Okay. So once I've got that square footage, so that square footage, 2,500 square foot house, my typical common sense says I'm going to look everything from 2,000 to 3,000 when I expand my search. Awesome. And then if I have different attributes like pools and guest houses, then I'm going to try and find those as well, to try and not have to make those adjustments. So you're very close to what we do. And awesome. The key thing is we don't mix and match stories. There's 1 story versus 2. you know what? One stories always sell at a premium because of the demographic of Las Vegas. People coming in are, older, my age, a lot of that. They want one-story homes. They don't want stairs. They're afraid of their hips, like me.
Right. Like you. You said like me.
Hey,
Oh, I love
ask
it.
you a lender question based off what you just said?
Pile on.
I'm always trying to save the deals, right?
What's that?
Can I ask you a lender question based on what you just said?
Absolutely.
So you know how you said you can go 1 mile or 5 miles out? So if there's a house, if like to get the value of the house, you have to go 5 miles out, but there's a comp that's in 1 mile. Can you use the 5 mile out one?
No, you can't leapfrog over the ones you don't want.
Good question, Amber. Good question.
There's the caveat. No. So if we don't have anything, then that's one thing. But if we do have it, if we do have the data that's more, similar, proximate, we're going to use it.
Awesome. Just want to remind anybody who's tuning in, we are with Brent Jones, one of the best appraisers that we've ever known and worked with in his business 33 years. So if you have questions for an appraiser, you want to know, hey, I'm thinking about remodeling my home, what might add value, which is my next question, please drop it like it's hot in the comment box below. We want to make sure we get to all your questions before we wrap up in about 20 minutes. So jump in there, let us know. Brent, really, based on what you just said a moment ago, when you're looking at the remodel and you're looking at the fixtures, do you get close enough to look at it's remodeled or it's a flip, or do you go, wow, they really bought quality marble, quality granite, quality? Does it matter what kind of style or level?
They use the word, is it lipstick or did they really do, did they do the work?
Right.
And every time we do a home that's flipped, we get a cost sheet from the seller or the investor. So we're able to see, we take that with a grain of salt because a lot of them get really good deals on stuff. A lot of them have their own crews. A lot of them get wholesale on their materials. But yeah, you can see it. You can see the difference. I mean, you can see whether they change the wainscot in the bathrooms. You can see whether they change the fixtures, the windows.
Yeah, windows are huge, right?
Thing. I mean, on an older house, if there's still single pane windows in there, if they didn't do anything with the landscape in the back, they just left it dirt. I mean, we absolutely can tell. That's what But that caveat is it's still very subjective. So my goal will be to find remodeled comps that support that value where I don't have to make that adjustment.
Got it. And so if I were to go in and decide that I want to renovate my home, what are the key things that inevitably always add value, like kitchens and bathrooms, flooring and windows, other than the windows? Anything else? Kitchen,
bath, paint, air conditioners to a point. If they're towards the end, if they're a 15 or 20-year-old unit, you know what? That'll help sell a house. A lot of this is about marketability as well. It's about people coming in. Two things. They don't want a project, but everybody's watched too much HGTV, so they do want a wall to knock down.
You're right. They all want to get that hammer out. They want to do that sledgehammer moment. They all want it. I love it. Amber, you want to ask another question?
Yeah. So on the remodel part, so a lot of times people will come to me and say, okay, I put new carpet and new paint in the house. Carpet and paint, how much does that really bring to value?
Right. So the key term, cost does not create value. All right.
Good
so that's
point.
the first thing. That's the first, the first thing. The second thing is I've got to be able to find comps that have had that similar improvement. In the old days, we used to be able to kind of make stuff up and go, I got my professional opinion. Now we have to support everything statistically and with data. So if you go overboard on your house and are not supported by the neighborhood, you're not getting that. You're not going to get that back. So it becomes fractional. And then we have another way that we do that. It's depreciated cost. It's not exact, but again, items depreciate. I like to have it. What's that?
We don't want depreciated costs.
No, I know who I'm working with here on this call.
Yeah. Let's you know what we're doing over here. Let's talk about pools and solar. solar, pools and solar. Everybody and their mom asks me, first of all, the first thing people want when they come to buy a house in Las Vegas is they want a pool. They want a single story. They want a 3-car garage. They want solar, or they're asking me if I put these things in, not the 3-car garage, but the pool and the solar, what's it going to do for the value? So can we talk specifically about pool first, and then and then we'll talk about solar?
Yeah. So when we go to test on any kind of property for where we don't have pool comps, then I'm going to look at 6 to 8% of the overall value. That's my initial assumption. So if you got a $500,000 house, I think it's reasonable, since it is 122 here in the summer.
Yeah.
that pool would get, somebody would pay 30 grand for that $500,000 property. Now, if there's more to it, then, if there's exterior living spaces, if there's water features, if there's a spa, I may go higher than that. If it's a newer pool, if it's needs work, if it's got, plaster that needs to be redone, pool equipment, we'll go to the lower end of that. So what that does, every adjustment we make is based on a contribution of value. So if I have $1 million home, I may go way over that, but I'm going to start out thinking 60 to 80,000, because in $1 million or $1.5 million property, they may have spent 300,000 to 400,000 in the backyard. So we want to be able to give them value to that. So every adjustment we make, whether it's lot size, garages, bedrooms, baths, contribution to value, percentage. Think percentages. Don't think, oh, there's just this set amount. There's a cheat sheet, because that's the question I get asked. Oh, do you have a cheat sheet for adjustments? Well, no.
And it's so funny, because a lot of my clients say, I say to them, you'll probably never dollar for dollar get value for that pool, at least not right away. Maybe I'm wrong, but I always say, so just know you're paying for the enjoyment of it also. So enjoy that. But as you're, the home builds an equity and things like that, to hear that you are adding that kind of a percentage is actually lovely.
But you would be able to see it in the comps that have pools, because that's what we do. We do what's called a match pair, where we're able to see, we've got one model sold at this, sold for a pool. A lot of that would be attributed to that, if all things are being equal.
I love it.
So you took a percentage on the pool. That's kind of cool.
That's what we test. It's not what it is.
Okay.
That's what we test statistically. So what we do then is we run this analysis. Actually, it's Mike Gandy Jr.'s statistics software. He's been an appraiser for 30 years. It's unbelievable. We can prove just about everything if there's a field in the MLS for it.
Cool. Let's talk solar specifically, because I know a lot, I believe tell me if I'm wrong. I believe if you pay off the solar, that it can add to the value of your home dollar for dollar. Is that correct?
That is correct. So the solar, here's the biggest problem is, I don't know if any of you have had a solar salesperson come to your house, or whether they've left yet. Because
no, they're living in my backyard right now.
They won't leave until you sign a contract.
No, they won't.
So they tell everybody, oh yeah, you're getting your money back. Whether it's leased. So yeah, the first caveat I'm using that a lot. The first rule is not paid for, free and clear, any payment being made, no value.
No values added to the house.
No value. And they've been told something entirely different by the person that sold it.
Absolutely, they have. Yeah.
That's too bad.
What a lot of agents don't know is that there is an owned solar field in the MLS. That is for owned, paid off solar. That's what it's supposed, not because they're making payments on a power purchase contract, because the methodology is there. If it's not paid for and they stop making payments, they're ripping it off the roof.
Yep. Absolutely.
So that's what's different than a pool that, the pool's there, that these things really are attached to the structure.
Got it.
In terms of valuing that, once it is, I'm going to take into account the age of it. I'm going to take into account how many kilowatt savings there are. I'm going to try and find an own solar comp where I can compute that same premium that I was talking about as with a pool. But I think the best rule of thumb is thinking of it like, if you're going to explain it to a seller or a buyer, say, look, this is just like we just kicked it in the kitchen. We just put a monster kitchen in. Think of it as part of the bundle of upgrades. Price it to the high end. Know that it does add value. It saves you money. You know what? It's definitely valuable, but a lot of appraisers still, we're not that good at it.
Got it. Got it.
So-
Wonderful.
So you don't know, like if there's a certain amount of panels on the roof, then it's not really valued by each panel of solar, right? It's
there's no, because I still have to be able to support it with comps.
Gotcha. Okay. So if there's no solar in the neighborhood,
then I will actually go to other neighborhoods and see if I can compute a value add based on a scenario where I've got a sale and then I've got a sale with solar, basically the same house where solar is the driving factor on that.
Love that.
Nice.
All right, Amber, you're up. You're
favorite
up.
subject, right, Brent?
You want to talk guest houses now?
No, I'm not even touching guest houses today because there's so few in Las Vegas, at least from what I've seen. There are some, but we know that they add square footage, and we can talk about that later. But Amber, what were you talking about earlier before we started about seller concessions?
So, okay, so when a seller gives concessions, it's when, just so everybody knows, like when you go to write an offer on a house and you want the seller to pay like $10,000 in closing costs, that's a seller concession. So how does that affect the appraisal, Brent? Like when the seller's giving something excess to what the house is worth?
Right. So the key red flags to that are, we have to report list for the subject. Okay. So you've got a house and you're under contract and you're going to give $7,000 in seller concessions. All right. Always be careful to not go over your original list price, especially if the home's been on the market for 60, 90 days, because we know that you're just jamming it in there. You're raising the sales price over and above list to try and get the seller concessions financed. We know that. And we have to report that. All right.
So they need to be sneakier then.
Amber.
I'm just helping that fellow agent.
Here, watch this.
Amber.
I'm out of here. Look at crossing the line, young lady.
Oh man.
I got still.
Okay, sorry, I won't put it in like that again.
All right. So that's one thing. So always when you are creating and structuring your transaction, make sure that number one, there's comps. Okay. If you are going over list, if the home's been on the market a week or two, then we can say that it was, marketed below market value for a quick sale. But if it's been on the market 90 days and now you're going to go from 400 to 415 and add 15 in cost, that ain't going to happen.
So the house is going to come in at whatever it's valued at, obviously, but it'll likely not reach the 415.
It's going to be a big red flag. It makes the hair on our arms stand up.
Awesome.
So it would be better for an agent almost to like not reduce prices of the house before reducing it. Say we're willing to pay concessions. Right.
Awesome. Okay. That's a really good point. So agents that are watching, pay attention.
The other side to that is when you are looking at comps, when you are looking at the sales prices, always think about net to seller. So that $400,000 comp with $12,000 in closing costs being paid in the MLS, in many cases now, that's going to be a $388,000 comp. So when you're talking to your sellers, think net to seller. This is here's a comp. Here's what they sold it for. Here's how much they had to pay to sell it. This is what they netted. Not that it happens all the time, but it's about setting the expectation for the borrower, because when an appraisal comes in $3,000 to $5,000 low, everybody thinks we're idiots. We're not that good. Right. And then it's really
we do. We absolutely think that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm not. I got a thick shell.
I'm kidding. We don't think that. Sorry.
Hey, I work with Amber. Nobody can hurt me.
That's why we love you, Brent. We love you.
All right. Last question. Then we're going to jump in here because we do want to share your awesome new tool that you've created. And we've got some great questions from the audience. Why are we seeing appraisal values come in low in this type of a market? And what can we expect as we move forward?
Okay. Yeah. Well, right now, so and the first thing I would tell everybody as agents, watch inventory every week. We're down to about 4,500 units total. What I do in my search, I just go to the map and I go right from the Paradise label. I go out 25 miles and I take all of the product types, manufactured, condo, townhome. I look at that number. It was up over 5,000. We're at 4,500. Sales were super low at around 1,900 in January. We can tell with our orders through the appraisal management, that number is going to be much bigger. You
The
know,
market is
it
shifted for
almost,
sure.
it's almost, we're almost in an early spring situation. We're
Yep.
seeing more multiple offers. We're seeing more appraisal gap language in the contract because people
Yep.
know that it's not going to appraise. So really the first thing, be aware of the seller concessions because those are getting knocked down. Number two, when you go under contract, rerun your CMA to make sure that there are no sales that just snuck in from the time you listed to the time you went under contract, because that new sale is going to be the one that's going to be a nugget comp for us. And if there's a reason it went down, then you need to be able to address that with the appraiser.
Got it.
And then the third thing is not getting the information to the appraiser. Everybody, appraisals, we can't say, no, don't talk to us anymore. I mean, that's never been the case. But Fannie Mae actually put out new guidance in August that said realtors are a valuable resource for appraisers. So you can give it to the appraiser. Give him the 3 comps. Don't give him 10 on an agent single line. Give them the 3 best comps that you use to price it. Tell us about the ones you didn't use and why. Let us know. Tell us you know more about these neighborhoods than we do. You know whether there's been a divorce or tax deal or foreclosure or short sale. Give us that information. Give us the options and upgrades so we have all that. And that way we have those if we do have to have an appraisal gap. We've got your comps. We can compare it to whether or not the appraiser used them and be able to go back to him and have some kind of factual discussion as to why he didn't see the market the way you did.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. So the reason, just for all of you who are watching, those of you who are thinking about buying a home, again, my number's at the bottom of the screen. Please text me, let me know. We'd love to chat with you and give you some guidance. These are the kinds of things that we're thinking about. So, I know realtors are looked at as like the next level up to a used car salesman. At least that's what I've been told my entire career. But I'm going to let you know there's some actual work that goes into this. And we are actually really, really concerned about making sure you don't spend too much on a house. And then also that when we're listing a house, that we're listing it to match up with what's going on in the market so that you can get what you need. So we really, we really do a lot of work. We work with amazing experts like Brent. Brent, thank you for coming today. We've got some questions coming from the audience, but just want to remind you guys that this entire presentation today is not only for realtors who love to watch our channel and learn from us from a marketing perspective, but for you who are home buyers to understand what goes into the conversation. It's not just slap the home up and decide how to price it. It's let's really think about this. And thanks to Brent and what we're going to launch here in a minute to show you, we're going to be able to make that happen a lot faster. And we're using a really great tool. So thank you, Brent, again. Let me go over to the questions here and see what we've got. We've got, Matt Smith always asks the best questions. If a similar comp has a garage and a pool and the other one doesn't, how much do you subtract for the property without the pool and the garage? I've heard $10K for a pool, $5K for a garage. We definitely touched on that. Do you want to touch on it again, Brent?
Sure. So think percentage basis on pools. Think about 6% to 8% is your initial assumption, and then go back and forth from there, depending on the quality of the pool, whether there's a spa, whether on the other side, whether there's been you've got to go in and replaster. It could cost you $20,000 to redo the pool.
I love that. Thank you.
And garages, sometimes you just have to look and say, third car garage, how much more would I pay for it?
Right.
If I put 2 homes side by side, sometimes I just go, all right, I got this with a 3-car garage, this with a 2-car garage. I'm going to think percentages there as well. In $1 million property, that 3-car garage is going to be probably worth 25, 30,000 on a lower price property, and maybe worth 5 or 10. And it just all depends on whether somebody, is a gearhead, unlike me.
Unlike you.
Or a hoarder.
How about this one? Matt Smith says when pulling comps, he's always been told to not cross any major roads and stay within the same subdivision. Is that how you feel about that, Brent?
If they're similar homes, look, if you cross Boulder Highway, all right, and the homes are all built in the 50s and 60s, they're the same. I mean, we just have to make a comment about it, but you can't go from a pocket neighborhood into Summerlin.
Got it.
You can't go west of or east of Wallapai and then just go into Summerlin for your comp. So that's a great, and staying in the same subdivision. If you've got comps there that have closed recently, especially if the market's moving, we pull comps differently when the markets move, because I want that comp that closed today. So I'll expand my search parameters out to find that comp.
What if
Awesome.
it's like a gated community to a non-gated community?
Again, there's going to be a value. It's going to be worth more for $1 million property than it would be for a $300,000 property. I mean, gates are an illusion of security. So, we all know that. And guard gated, absolutely. That I'm going to try and find the guard gated comp.
Okay.
Got
sure.
it. Love that.
That's the goal. I'll stretch my distance and I'll stretch my square footages in order to do that.
So that's a time that you'll stretch it. If it's guard gated to guard gated, then you
I would like to have that. I would like,
that's awesome.
Similar neighborhoods.
Awesome. This is the best question yet because it's going to lead us to our next section. Matt Smith says, do you have a resource we can look at to get better at comping? Almost like a guide. Brent.
Oh,
here, look at this. How's this for blatant self-promotion?
I love it. All right. We're going to shift over to showcase to you guys something that Brent's team, it's a little bit small to see. So just go to check out valuetest.ai. It's an amazing software that he's created. It's a tool that we can use as realtors. You can do a free trial if you want to log in. Brent, can anybody use this, or do you have to be a realtor or someone? You
got to be an agent. So let me just give you a background on this, kind of how it all happened. For 20 years, I've been tired of people telling me that Zillow, what Zillow says their house is worth. And so I wanted to create a tool that gave us something to prove or disprove that. Mm-hmm. About 6 months ago, I was at an appraisal conference and I met with an AI-driven data and tech provider out of New York called PropMix. And we got together to combine what they do on the AI front with what I do in terms of my search parameters. And we built 3 different tiers of cascades in order to kind of emulate what I do as an appraiser, along with the similarity scoring of the AI. So what we've done is we've created this product called Value Test, where you can take an expectation on a listing or a list price and run the research against that. And we have a property pack, if you would, that has 2 separate parameters to it. And also you can refresh if you use it at your listing, and then you go under contract, you can run it again. And so far the key parts of it are this: you get to say that you use AI in your pricing if you're an agent.
Hey.
As a buyer or seller, you know that if your agent is using this, they're sharp, because this is not child's play. Number 3, you know what? Being able to have an appraisal resource, myself with Value Test, especially through Amber or any of my clients on the lending side, you know what? You're never going to be alone on that. And it's super easy. It's a very inexpensive product. You guys are going to be amazed when you see how inexpensive it is. It's a volume deal for me. So
I love it. So I know we got a hard stop here in a few minutes, so I want to run through this. But what my favorite part about, so we ran a couple of just random addresses that we pulled from the MLS, just so you guys know what we did here. Walk me through this so that the people who are watching, whether they be agents or even buyers who want to see what we do on the back end, walk me through this if you could.
Okay, sounds good. So this is the first page here, and this is all MLS data. And you can see, if you go to the website at Value Test, this is not about just having comps that make your deals work. This is about showing you the comps that are probably going to be on an appraiser's radar, and that everybody needs to be aware of, that they could, result in a low appraisal. So
I love that. So the goal, let me make sure the goal of this is we're typing in what the list price is if we're the buyer agent, but if we're listing the home, we're typing in what the seller is asking us to list at to prove
what Zillow or any of the other estimates. And I don't know if you've seen this, but on Realtor.com now they actually have a feature called Real Estimate. They have 3 separate online values. Let me tell you what, they are not lined up.
Yeah,
so
they never do.
This is like going under the hood to those.
I love this. So this is with your brain, your expertise, along with a lot of really smart people plus AI, combining all of that to really do the best job of really utilizing what we do every single day to pull the comps. So when you start with the summary here, we're valuing, this was listed at 558. Again, this is just a random listing, so this isn't anything specific. And the range of the comps shown is 399 all the way to 515.
Right.
When we move down here, it's showing exactly how they went through this, correct?
Right, correct.
So it's showing how far away, living area, some of the adjustments that are made here, date of the sale.
Total transparency. And These are the weights that I've applied, because this is how when I do my reconciliations, that's the weightings that I use in terms of determining what comps make the final cut.
Love it. And then the subject details, this goes through and gives us, it makes sure that we know what we're looking at, key details about the house.
Right.
And then the comparables is my favorite.
I'm sorry, Lacey, and just on that other, we have coming in shortly, we'll actually have the lien amount, the current lien balance of that property, as well as rent estimates for investors.
Super helpful.
Awesome, Brent.
Love that. So if you're an investor who we have several investor clients, we'll definitely now be using this to help with estimating what you could actually make on a home, which is amazing.
And this is a very simple interface. We wanted to keep it simple. This is the expanded search that we have at 20%. And the key to this is that you're able to actually look at the photos of each of those comps here in the next version that should be coming out in the next. Let's see if they show. Oh, here they are. They're up. How about that? So
you can go in line by line. Look at this gorgeous. Wow. This is amazing.
So Brent, amazing what you've done. I mean, you really,
you.
Like the thing that's best about Brent, not to prop you up or anything, but you know, we have to a little bit, right? Is you think outside the box and you really try to push the next, like most appraisers are just like, here's your value. Don't call me. Right.
Right.
You're like, no, let me help you in all kinds of different ways to be able to help you see how we're coming up with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too much sometimes, but this has been an incredibly fun project.
I love this. I'm so excited to use this.
There's only two people that aren't happy about it.
Oh, who's that?
My wife and the money I spent. And my developers, because I kept changing my mind to get it exactly where it is now. But absolutely, this last page here is super important. Depending on the parameters we use, this is the same kind of market analysis to determine the trends up and down. So the key feature of this is this median comparable sales price. So you can see that between the last 7 to 12 months, the median prices have gone up. You can see that the market, what it's doing, based on
market's shifting. Price. And in a month, when we bring you back to do this again, we're going to look at this same house and see the market shift as well. So we keep trying to tell everybody that, that if anybody knows what's going on with the market better than anyone, it's going to be the appraiser that's looking at trends and inventory and all the things that we try to tell you guys that are super important for us to be telling you when it's the good time to buy, when it's a good time to get a deal. These are the people who would know it more than anyone. So amazing job on this software. So if you're a realtor watching, please do yourself a favor. Go to valuetest.ai, sign up. You get a free 14-day trial or 10 report trial. Thank you.
In 14 days, you got to go through the trial. And guys, it's $100 product. Okay. No, it's a $5 product.
$5 per. So as an agent,
we're also going to go to a subscription base as well, which will probably be about $16, $17 a month for unlimited use. Run it on your. And the other thing is, one of the best uses for this is, aside from saving time at on the buyer side, being able to talk some sense into, getting an offer, not be lowballed. But for your equity reviews, if you've got the database and you're using HomeBot on a monthly basis, which is a great program, this you can actually tickle. We'll have it so you can tickle it in a year. You can run this and say, we bought your house at this. Here are the new comps. And it gives you a way to keep in touch with your database and with some pretty meaningful data.
Love this. Nice job. Beautiful work. We've got to wrap it up here, guys. We're coming on to the end of our time with you, Brent. Thank you again for your time. It's been amazing. I want to have you back on. This is fun. Maybe we'll do something where we'll pull up 3 properties and we'll let you work through it with us, like live online. If you're cool with that, I think that might be fun. You know what else
Brent's really fun about? Just ask him about the market.
Yeah. Brent, could you do us a favor and tell all of the people who are thinking about buying a house and moving to Vegas, what's happening with the market right now?
You know what? We're getting a bounce. You know what? We're starting to see multiple people are coming out of the woodwork. Look, rates go up and down. I think, everybody was shell shocked that rates went up so much. Everybody's kind of settled into it. Look, it's about having an affordable payment. You get into the housing market. You know what? All you have to do is look at the models. I've been doing this. I've been looking at this stuff since 1990. You know what? This market, it's got resiliency. It's going to go up and down, but the key thing is that rates, with buy downs and, there's adjustables. I mean, there's lots of ways to, if you can get into a house, get into a house. I mean, not just because I'm going to be a beneficiary of it, but you know what? I've lived here. This town has been so good to me, and there's so much opportunity. I think all of us are examples of that. Yeah. And so if you're young and you know what, you're aggressive, this is a town of people are moving here, 150 people a day, they say.
151 actually.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yes.
And you know what? And look, California weather isn't getting any better. So
I love it, Brent. Thank you again. You are an amazing resource for us. We're so grateful to have you as a friend, as well as obviously the professional that you are in our field. Congratulations on Bayou Test. I definitely want to bring you back on and do some more with that, and maybe do some classes or something for realtors locally, because I think that they would all really benefit. For those of you who are watching, once again, I'm Lacey, your Las Vegas bestie. This is Amber Coleman, one of the top 200 lenders in the nation. She's the best. I only work with the best, as you can see. And we're really, really grateful to be able to tell you that the market's shifting, but it's not too late. If you're thinking about moving to Vegas, we want to know about it now. We don't care if it's now, 10 years from now. We want to know about it today, because we don't want you to miss out on opportunity when there's these juicy, crunchy deals still available. They're starting to go away. So don't wait. Let's talk, and don't lose hope. I know that it's often very, very difficult to see the market change, and it's not your time. It'll always be your time when it's your time, and we'll be here to help you through that process. So don't judge yourself. This is a judge-free zone. Text me at the number. Click the link in the description. Amber and I want to be your bestie, and we want to get you over to Vegas. And super, super excited for everything. Thank you again, Brent. We're having you on next time. This is it. It's over. You're the new bestie. He's the new bestie.
You are the new bestie, Brent.
Right,
and we know we could probably go 2 hours with Brent on here and just ask him question after question just to get it.
I'm gonna float our own boat. This last comment just gave me the chills. Thank you, Las Vegas Gal, for providing such actionable, informative, and compelling content. No other Vegas real estate or lifestyle channel comes close. That's right. Boom. Mic drop. Mic drop. Mic drop.
Yes,
thank you so much, Sean.
Well, I want to come back.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you again. We're super excited. We're so grateful. And we'll see you next time. Join us next Wednesday. We're going to do our next live stream.
Bye, kids.
Bye, guys.
Bye.